It's Thursday evening, and I'm about to head to the airport here in like an hour or so, but wanted to be able to record this video before I head to Atlanta tonight to watch my friend Whitney Bieber get married tomorrow afternoon. So, you guys, if you've been ever reading the blog for any amount of time, or if you've been on Instagram or anything like that, you've probably seen her. She writes the blog called Sometimes Always Never. And it writes to 20-somethings and everything from singleness to body image to relationships and everything in between. And she is such a sweet friend of mine. So we actually were real life friends before we started collaborating on business things, and I'm just really excited to see her get married. We were actually in Austin together the weekend after she started dating Chris, which was actually a couple years ago, about 2.5 years ago. And so seeing this all come to fruition has been really cool to see. So I'm excited to go to Atlanta. Nick's been in London all week for work, and so he's flying in tomorrow afternoon and going to meet me there. He's a total champ and is going to go to a wedding all evening and afternoon with me tomorrow. So that'll be exciting. And I'm actually going to be staying with Cody, the new RD that works with me now at Nutshell. She lives in Atlanta, and I'm just going to stay with her all weekend. And Nick has a good friend that he's also going to stay with there and spend time with. We might be staying at both people's houses. But all that to say, I'm super pumped to meet Cody in person. I have never met her in person. We've only talked on Skype and FaceTime and on the phone, but I feel like I've known her for years. So I'm so excited just to be able to work together from home on Friday, and that will be really exciting. So you guys might get a little Q&A from us together next week. But I moved last week into a new apartment, so that's been really exciting, super restful. I'm now living alone, and while I absolutely adored my last apartment, and I will miss it terribly, and the two girls that I lived with are literally sisters to me, and we'll be friends. I will be friends with them for years and years and years to come. I know that this is good, and it's a good transition into being in a little bit more quieter, a little bit more restful space. So that's kind of an update here. This is the final wedding, my last plane flight for at least several weeks. So that feels very exciting. Gonna unpack the suitcase for the first time since February, and settle into more of a rhythm as the summer begins. I'll basically be working a lot in clinicals. So I'll be in clinicals about 30 to 35 hours a week. So all the parts will fit. They're just going to shift and change and kind of figure out how things work as they come. So flying out to Atlanta tonight. I'll be back Monday, early Monday morning. But I'll be on Instagram and all that good stuff. So I hope you guys have some good things planned. Spring is totally here. It's so awesome. There's sunshine coming in from my window over there, so that's great. So one thing I think, I'm going to focus this video today on something that I've been thinking about a lot lately, just through lots of client calls that I've had this week. Even though I'm not taking new Nutshell clients right now, I still see probably anywhere from 10 to, on a really busy week, 15 clients. So 10 to 15 clients, and maybe throw in a few, an RD coaching call. But I'm on the phone with probably that many people a week. And the same thing that I hear time and time and time again, all the time, is just how influential the media is. And how we have lost, kind of this reoccurring theme is just how much we've lost the ability to listen to our own bodies. We've lived for so long up in our heads that we can't actually live listening to our own body. And there's this bridge of trust that's totally been broken. And so I think an important thing for us to realize is just the huge impact that has on our health, and just what a significant connection there is between the mind and our body. So I get this question a lot, either through clients or emails or whatever avenue it might be of communication, but how do we quiet the noise of the media, and how do we quiet the noise of the diet industry, and how do we quiet the noise of everybody else giving us a different message, and how do we hone in on what, and kind of streamline things and simplify things for what is going to work for us? And what does that look like long term? And I will tell you, even as a dietitian, even as someone who is immersed in healthcare between nursing and nutrition, and all of that, there is such a plethora of messages that come through. Even I can become overwhelmed with just like, okay, what do I know to be true, and how do I take this, and how do I tease it out to get maybe some important information, and maybe draw something that would benefit me, but how do I let go of everything else that doesn't really matter? Because if we got caught up with all the nitty-gritty details that we ever read on the internet, or that we ever see on Instagram, or that we ever see in our newsfeed on Facebook, we will die of just information overload. It's too much. And there's people in one camp saying do this, and there's people in another camp saying do this, or you have a girlfriend who tells you to do that, and or you have a friend that did this and lost this amount of weight or felt this way, and it is absolutely totally overwhelming. And so I think that is something that we have to be aware of. And one of the number one things that I have my clients do, and I'll tell you guys this because I think it's so important, and I think it's one of the simplest yet one of the most impactful steps to freedom, is to clean out all of your social media accounts. So if somebody you're following on Instagram is not beneficial to your health or is not beneficial to your mind, clean them out. There's no reason why you should be following them. If a podcast is not beneficial, there's no reason you should be following them. If anything in your social media, whether that's a Facebook friend, a blog you read, a website you visit, whatever, if it is not bringing you life, delete it. There is no reason for you to read that. And so really that is one of the biggest things that I have people do. One of the first things that I have people do that I feel like has the biggest impact. And maybe that means stepping back from social media for a specific amount of time to kind of detach yourself and recenter yourself and be able to kind of quiet the background noise that is always going off in the back of your head. In addition, and the reason why I think that is so important is because the more messages we hear about food and what we should eat and what we shouldn't eat and why this XYZ works and why this doesn't work, the more of that we hear, the more that we live up in our head than we actually live in our own body. And there's been research that's been shown that that there's this huge mind-body connection, and not from just like a psychological realm, and how you feel and how you think and all of that. I'm not meaning that. I'm meaning like the way we think impacts the way our body functions to a certain extent. And I think it's important to recognize that. And I talk a lot about, or kind of brush on the fact of stressing about a food can actually be more detrimental to your health than actually eating it in the first place. And what we've done is we have belittled food, or we have brought it to a point to where whittled it down to a thought of, if I eat this, I'm going to get cancer. If I eat that, I'm going to gain weight. We've like made it into these light, tiny little decisions that we think are going to have detrimental impacts on our health. And I will tell you, anything in healthcare, or the majority of things in health, are all about trends. And so just like someone doesn't drop 10 pounds in a day, you can't gain 10 pounds in a day. And just how eating an apple doesn't make you lose weight, eating a cupcake isn't going to make you gain weight. So it's the same thing. We can't make things, these snapshots, we can't make them have, we can't think about them in a realm of having huge influence. And so I think it's important to realize that we have to get out of our head and we have to get into our own body. And Americans know more than a lot of people about nutrition. Yet, the more knowledge we know, the more complicated things have become. And I might get a lot of pushback if I say this, but I'm going to say it anyways, that we have more GI issues than I've ever seen. And that's through my career as a dietitian, and that's through nursing, the short career I've had in nursing, that we have so many GI issues. And a part of me wonders, is a lot of this having to do with the mind-body connection? And so one thing I think we have to do is get out of our heads and get into our bodies and start thinking about, it's not about what I should do or what I shouldn't do, or I should eat this or I shouldn't eat that. It's about practicing mindfulness, practicing being aware, and connecting what we think to how we feel, instead of just doing something because somebody tells us to, or that's what our mind tells us. What is our body actually telling us? And the reason why this is so important is because when we start to eat a food, we have lots of different thoughts that could come into our brain. And to make this really simple, I'll explain it like this. So if you're eating an ice cream cone and you start thinking about, this is going to make me gain 10 pounds, or this is really bad for me, or this has a lot of sugar, or I shouldn't be eating this, whatever negative thought that is, when you're eating that ice cream cone, your body actually starts to release stress hormones in response to that. And cortisol levels rise, and insulin goes wacky, and our body actually starts to inefficiently metabolize that food. So physiologically, when you have negative thoughts around food, that impacts the digestive enzymes that your body releases, from your pancreas. It impacts the rate to which your body metabolizes that food, and it impacts eventually the final destination of those macronutrients, right? So your body could actually end up storing that particular makeup of food, storing more of that for energy later than it does burning it for energy now. And so the way that we think about food can have an impact on the way we actually metabolize food, and it impacts the hormones that are released in response to eating that food. Versus if we have positive thoughts about food, right? We eat that ice cream cone and we think, gosh, it's such a beautiful summer day, and I'm here with my girlfriend, and this ice cream tastes so good, and man, I'm so grateful to even be able to eat this, to experience this, to live this day. It might not be even that dramatic, but rather just saying man, this ice cream is good and it is a beautiful day. But having more positive thoughts around food and enjoying that food and experiencing it actually causes, positive neurotransmitters to be released from our brain, which then affects the way that we positively metabolize food. So digestion improves, right? Our body is actually able to release the proper amount of digestive enzymes. We're able to metabolize that. Gut health is running efficiently and it's running properly, and we're not creating a stressful environment for the body to attempt to metabolize this food in. And so therefore, the way our body uses that energy is going to be different than it would use that energy if we were in a really stressful, if our body was in a really stressful internal environment. So the way we think about food can have a direct and profound impact on the way we metabolize food and the way that our body ultimately utilizes that food. And so what I'm going to encourage you guys to do this week is just to clean out all your social media accounts, clean out all of that, and to just start to maybe reframe the way that you think about food. To start to think about, okay, is this food choice being impacted by what I think I should eat, or is this food choice actually being impacted by maybe what I want to eat and what my body's craving? And we can start to step out of our heads and into our bodies, and learn to trust ourselves, and start to streamline and simplify food, which has an immense impact on our long-term health, not only psychologically but also physically. So I'll stop blabbering now, because I'm talking too fast and I'm tripping over my words, because I just get so excited about this sort of stuff. But I'll leave you guys with that for this week. And hopefully I'll be in and out of social media this weekend. I hope you guys have an awesome weekend. I hope you rest a lot. I hope you sleep in. I hope you just allow yourself to just enjoy the weekend and hopefully some good spring weather. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon.